Masterpiece. Not a term we throw out very often when we talk about series or movies. Today, I'm going to be talking about The Haunting of Hill House. But is it a masterpiece? And is Mike Flanagan kind of like a modern Alfred Hitchcock? It's time to review The Haunting of Hill House.
Copy, you're calling Raven.
Payback time.
Come with me if you want to live.
You just don't turn it off!
The Haunting of Hill House was released in 2018 on Netflix, written and directed by Mike Flanagan and starring Victoria Pedretti, Kate Siegel, Henry Thomas, and Carla Gugino. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. This is Backtrack Cinema. My name is Jason, and today we're going to be talking about The Haunting of Hill House. This is based on a novel by Shirley Jackson back in 1959. And then we had The Haunting from 1963, which I still got to see. I haven't seen it all the way through. And then we got that god-awful remake in 1999 with Liam Neeson and Owen Wilson. That was just absolute garbage. But this is based on a pretty popular novel, for sure, that, Mike Flanagan adapted, but he wrote this for this series and directed the whole thing. And when I first watched this, man, in 2018, blew me away. Every single episode absolutely just rocked me, just blew me away. The talent of this guy, you know what I mean? And I watched Oculus way before this, and this is kind of like an extension of Oculus where we're dealing with two timelines, the breakdown of these parents, the kids and all that. So it's a lot more of an extension of that, and that's how Mike Flanagan actually pitched it. You'll be emotionally fucking done by the end of it. You're just done. You feel every character and their drama and everything they've gone through, that you're kind of emotional. You're emotionally wrecked after this, man. It really is a family drama with ghosts in it. And yes, does it have the classic ghost stuff? Knocking, banging on walls, seeing a monster in the basement. Yes, it has all that traditional kind of ghost stuff. You know what I mean? But it's really the haunting of trauma. Dealing with grief, dealing with guilt, regrets, you know what I mean? It's that kind of, it's like the horrors of real life. And that's what Flanagan taps into, like dealing with like mental illness, having a stillborn baby, drug addiction, a foster father abusing his foster daughter, divorce, becoming a widow, infidelity, hiding a secret from your spouse, like all the stuff that haunts us, the ghosts in our closets. And that's why this thing is going to have longevity. That's why, don't get me wrong, I love Insidious and The Conjuring, The Exorcist, The Omen. Well, The Exorcist is something on its own. All the modern kind of stories like this, the ghost stories. But I find when you go back and watch them after years and years, the scares are not as, they don't hold up like you first watched them, where this has longevity. And that's what we're going to discuss. Is it a masterpiece? You know what I mean? And by the end of it, I'll tell you if it's a masterpiece or not. So The Haunting of Hill House tells the story of the Crane family through two different timelines as they grew up in this haunted house, and their youngest sister dies, which brings them all together to battle all their personal demons and each other's. And the way Mike Flanagan constructs this, we're in two different timelines. We're in the present and we're in the past, where they all grew up in this haunted house. And a tragedy happens where their mother dies, and this is what's affected them through the years. And in the present, their youngest sister dies, which brings them all together. And then Mike Flanagan's going back to the present, going back to the past. And every character, like all five kids, have their own episode. So you're going to see all the same stuff, but told through each of the characters' perspective, which is, I think, was just brilliant. And all five kids represent the 5 stages of grief, which is, it's been done before, but it's brilliantly executed in this. Like, we have Stephen is denial, Shirley is anger, Theodora is bargaining, Nelly is acceptance, and Luke is depression. And so you get all their own episodes, the first 5 episodes, and it's building, because when their sister dies, this is where the essential themes of regrets and grief and looking death in the eyes, facing death. How do we overcome losing a loved one? Do we carry it with us forever? He's tapped into all that, and we can relate to that. We've all lost loved ones, or we're going to. That's why this show is going to stick around forever, because of those relatable themes. And it's like a storm brewing. The storm is brewing, that like the the storm is coming, right? And by the 6th episode, we're into the Two Storms episode where there's it goes it's Nelly's funeral where they're all at her wake. This is where the tension is at its thickest. It's the greatest episode of the series. The characters are just so good in this. I love Theodora, and I just love how Kate Siegel plays her. She comes off very cold. She comes off almost flaky. Like, you just see her picking up girls, taking them home for sex at the bar, and then she lives at her sister's house and all this kind of stuff. But then further along, we find out that she has a PhD in psychology. Like, she's really, really smart. So I like how Mike Flanagan does that. He's building the characters really slowly. We got the oldest brother, Steven, and he's the one who's in denial the most, that he thinks that everything that happened to them, there was no ghosts at all. You know, their mom just had mental illness and it runs in their family. So he comes to his character arc is like he believes that this house is haunted by the end of it. Shirley is the one that is most angry, and this is the performance I love the most. You know, she's very calm, she's cool, because she's collect. She's a character that doesn't show her emotions in front of other people a lot, but she has a ton of them. And that's why I love her performance the most. As far as like the performance, all the scenes that put emotion in you, she does it so well because this character is not supposed to show a lot of emotion. And, you know, she owns a funeral parlor, so she decides to embalm her sister, to do all the work herself, get her ready for the wake. And just, that's the kind of thing Flanagan's doing here. Imagine that. She's tearing her sister open, putting the makeup on her, getting her all ready. And it's so heartfelt, man. Like, when she gets her all ready and she just collapses on her and starts crying, says, "I'm so sorry," and she's crying and everything. Man, you just tear up, man. You're on the brink of just, like I said, you'll be emotionally freaking rocked in this, right? And then we got Nelly, who's the one who is the sister who dies, and Luke, and they're twins. You know, Luke is a drug addict. He's kind of character who's been scared his whole life. Luke and Nelly are the ones that saw the ghosts the most. And Nelly, you know, she's the one who dies at the beginning of the show, and which sets this whole thing in motion. But she is such an innocent, beautiful, never hurt anybody her entire life. You know, really got the short end of the stick, haunted by the bent neck lady her whole freaking life. And the reveal of the bent neck lady is just magnificent the way they do it. And it's great to see Henry Thomas in here. He delivers a great performance too as the father, Hugh. And Hugh and his wife, Olivia, they come into Hill House in the past and they're fixing up to flip it so they can have their forever home. And this is where the mother gets taken over by the house. And Carla Gugino, I hope that's right, another fantastic performance, man. She just has to go for it emotionally. You know, she was fantastic in Gerald's Game, and she's fantastic in this movie too. Now, this is not a ghost story, like I said before, that's built around cheap jump scares. You know, it's about real stuff that haunts us. And the way Flanagan frames every shot, it's just you're constantly drawn to the background all the time, and you'll see ghosts moving around or you think you saw something. More nuanced horror. And you know, it's funny, when I was a kid, a teenager even, I was always for the splatter fest. I was always for the gore. I was a different horror fan then. I loved nuanced horror now, and this is just what works for me. Just love this kind of stuff.
Liv. Hey!
When you're looking at it's dark and you're looking in the house and he focuses on the background, you'll see like something move, or they're just statues sitting there and you think they're gonna move. So your mind, your eyes are always moving in this, man. It's just fantastic. And the way he transitions from the present to the past, the editing is top notch, man. Just perfectly edited this movie. It focuses really on the building of tension with these scares, with these monsters in this house. There's a great scene with Luke where he gets pulled down in the dumbwaiter to the basement, and all you see, the only light is from the flashlight, and this monster comes at him. That's a great scene. You get this really big tall man looking for his hat, and he has a cane, and he's going down the hallways, and Luke's under his bed, and he just sees this giant ghost. But it's built with tension slowly. Like everything's moving slowly. Build the tension. That's what makes it scary, especially with the sound design, where there's very little music. There's another moment in here too that just rocked me, is when Carla Gugino, like her as the mother in the past, You know, that basically the house, you know what I mean? Time doesn't exist there. So she walks through a door and all of a sudden she's in a morgue with Nelly as an adult who's dead, and Luke as an adult's got a needle in his arm, and she sees this. And just imagine as a parent, whether if it was a dream or not, man, this would be horrific. Knowing that these are your kids all grown up.
Is my jaw wired shut?
Fuck, man, it's just freaking crazy. Crazy, the imagery, man. Just sends shivers up your freaking spine, man. It kind of peaks at Nelly's wake, episode 6, and then it comes down a little, and then we get the finale of in this house there was this red room, and you know they could never find a way to open the red room, and the reveal of the red room and all that kind of stuff is just fantastically written, fantastically acted. It's just a great moment. I know I've heard a lot of people thought this show didn't take the landing. I thought it was a perfect ending where the character arcs all landed and everything was just perfect the way it ended for me. And like I said, it's just the feeling you get after. You're emotionally drained, man. Emotionally drained. But the Two Storms episode at Nelly's wake, where all the family's coming, it's the father, all the kids are there, and there's so much tension, family drama and everything. And Mike Flanagan does it all in one take. It's like a one take thing, and then it goes back to the past when they had a storm at the house, and there's some creepy stuff in there where it's hailing and the lights are all out, and you know, and Henry Thomas is upstairs looking for his wife with just a flashlight, and there's so much beautifully written dialogue at the end here, and I just love when Nelly's ghost says, "I have loved you all as you have loved me, and the rest is just confetti. Don't worry about the rest. We loved each other. We were family." Moving on, right?
Forgiveness is warm, like a tear on a cheek. Think of that and of me when you stand in the rain.
I mean, you could spend an hour here, guys, examining this shit, man. It's just so deep. It's got more layers than the best lasagna you've ever had, man. And tastes just as freaking good. The music's well done too, because it's just a low, soft piano, and it has its main theme to everything, and that's where the emotion starts hitting you when that piano starts going. And like I said, the movie rocks you, man, or the series just rocks you. It's a Halloween tradition of mine, watching this every single year. You know what I mean? I watched it now, of course, but there's so much to this, and I kind of want you to, I know I went into a little bit of spoilers. I want you to experience this because a lot of people I don't think have seen this, and a lot of us have, obviously, and Mike Flanagan just keeps hitting it out of the park every time with this TV series and his movies. So, is it a masterpiece, guys? Yes, it is. For me, I don't use that word lightly. I don't call many things masterpieces, but there is nothing wrong with this, and everything from production design to cinematography to acting to writing to dialogue, everything is top notch, and you couldn't have done it any better. And it's going to have longevity. I personally think it's a masterpiece. Is it going to be a masterpiece to the general public 40 years from now? I do not know. But for me, I come back into it every single year, and it's still just going to be as scary as it was when I first watched it because of the real fear he's tapping into. So I'm going to give The Haunting of Hill House from 2018 an A+. But what about you guys? Let me know in the comments what you think of The Haunting of Hill House. Do you like it? Have you seen it? If you haven't seen it, go watch it, then come back for this review, and we'll have a great discussion in those comments about it. I encourage you all to enjoy your horror movies. Enjoy the spooky season, as we love talking about all these kind of sorts of movies and shows. And my name is Jason. You're watching Backtrack Cinema. I will see you next time, and I will see you in the movies. Cheers.